Hello and welcome from Hampden Park on a massive week for Scottish football. It's the fourth round of the Three Pillars Financial Planning Scottish Communities Cup. Why, what else is going on? Anyway, come on inside, we'll meet the guests for our first ever preview show. Guys, thank you very much. Welcome to Hampden Park. Welcome to the first Scottish Community FA preview show. So, thank you very much, Craig Menzies, obviously of Johnstone Burgh, the cup winners of last year. Thank you for coming down. Hugh MacDonald, obviously everybody knows, Scottish football aficionado.
Thank you.
Alex McDonald, the Chief Operating Officer.
Alex who?
Exactly, that's why we do various different ways to cut it. Alex McDowall.
How you doing?
Chief Operating Officer of the Scottish Community FA. So, welcome to Hampden. So, Craig, if you could maybe talk us through your result in the last round of the Community Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was Greenock, Pride Greenock 1-4-0, which obviously
They're having a hell of a season as well.
They are, and actually know a couple of players in advance. Obviously we've done a bit of work on them and knew that we were up for a pretty tough tie. I think we kind of know what you're going to get when there's a team from a low division coming up. They're going to be difficult to beat. They're going to be well organised, and that's what it was. And thankfully we scored fairly early, and that kind of settled us a wee bit. And then the scoreline finishes 4-0. And to be fair, they had a few chances, we had a few chances. It could have been a few goals for each side, but no, it's good to get through. I think these games are, looking at the round before that, played Girvan away, and it's just a case of getting through and trying to get in the next round and see who we get.
Spoke to Dean Keenan and he said he was very impressed with you guys that day. Said you were excellent the day you went down to Girvan. So,
again, another fairly tough place to go. It's a bit of a journey down the coast, and
I think you had decent support that day from what I hear.
Well, we do. We bring a good support everywhere we go, and that's one of the great things about the club. Girvan away is quite a trip from Johnstone, but no, bring good numbers.
But that's the best thing about the cup competition, is the away days.
Yes, that's what you look for.
That's the feedback I've always had.
That was one of my first away days ever, was when I went with Shelton, my grandfather. And my grandfather was a railway driver. He was that aristocratic member of the working class. He was a rail driver, train driver. And these were days when there was trains, and we went down to Darvel for a third or fourth round tie with Shelton. And we got the train down because my grandfather got the free. And I always remember this, I'd be about 5 or 6, and my brother Roddy was down with, we'd be about 4 or 5, there was only a year between us. And we got to Darvel, and I knew enough even then that I was in a one-horse town, right? And the horse was lame, I knew enough even at that age. And I always remember my granddad saying to us, he says, just stand here boys, I've got a wee bit of business to do. And I remember me and Roddy were looking at this town and going, isn't my grandpa, look at the size of this wee place. And my grandpa's got business in this town, Of course, he came back half an hour later smelling slightly of the national drink. And that was my first interaction of away days, and it was a junior game. That was a Scottish Cup game?
Yes, as you say, that's what people look forward to. You're almost disappointed if you get home draw in the cup. Chairman and the treasurers aren't, but the supporters are.
Do you know Nielsen came back in, and the tie that came out was an Aberdeen team away. And we called him, we says, listen, we know you're just back in, apologies. He says, apologies? He says, that's exactly what we want. That's exactly what we want. Everybody was loving it, so
I think Nielsen, funnily enough, Alec, was one of the games we played in that Scottish Cup run as well. And I think we went to 3 ties. People watching as aficionados, we were 65, 66, I think. Anyway, we went there, and I'm sure Dixie Deans was playing for Nielsen that day. And so within 7 years, he was playing in the Junior Cup, and then he was playing the semi-final of what would now be called the Champions League. I'll not say about how it ended that night for him, we didn't end well, but anyway, it just showed you what the Junior Cup was all about.
So when you look back to some of the players that have played in it, particularly that sort of period of time, everybody knows about Kenny Dalglish playing for Cumbernauld, but there's been all sorts of stories of other players. So.
Absolutely. 9 of the Lisbon Lions played juniors.
That's right, yes.
And listen, Scotland were a force to be reckoned with at that time, so
absolutely.
It tells you, maybe no far off the mark, and it's maybe something you should be looking at going forward. Sometimes a step back, step forward is where you are. But
I think the great thing about it was that the players were playing highly competitive, physical
I think that's important.
football with adults.
Mm-hmm.
And if you talk to anybody, even people in the modern game, like Stevie Naismith or whatever, that was just retired, they say, "Well, playing at that level, that's what made me."
You speak to a lot of them and they say, it's playing alongside men. It's learning how to learn the trade of the game. A friend of mine, was it? Yeah, and knowing how to get back up. All kidding apart, that's a big part of it. I mean, we're at Troon, we've got a couple of players on loan from Kilmarnock, and they seem to put a lot of emphasis on that and get them out, get them in a men's dressing room, get them involved in the banter, get them involved in training, get them involved in the games, and it toughens them up, it gets them back, gets them back playing. Yeah.
Who have you got next then?
We are away to Carnoustie Panmure.
Oh, that's good.
So that's a good, really good away day. We actually went there in 2019, I think it was. We went there, and Ryan Stevenson and Christian Addy scored the 2 goals. Which is good. Talking of names, so Ryan Stevenson hit a volley, which I think's not hit the ground yet. It was one of those that he just caught brilliantly. So, but a really good crowd. Mark Johnson obviously was involved at Carnoustie, who's sadly no longer with us. So it'll be a bittersweet one going up there without him.
Doing the draw there as well.
And the plan is at the moment to do the draw live for the next round there, straight after the game. I think Kenny, the fixture secretary's panicking about the weather's going to be okay between now and then, but the plan at the moment is to do the draw live from Carnoustie, which would
take it round about.
Absolutely, but it involves clubs from the east, it involves clubs from the north, and there's a couple of people coming down to the game from the north and east. Dignitaries that were from other clubs, which Kenny had mentioned before. So again, it gets the draw around the country, gets the cup around the country, and gets a bit more visibility about it. So again, don't want to mention Garkieran. How did you go out the first round of the season?
I don't think we were in it this year. Weekly, that's what it was.
Who were you playing?
I can't remember. I don't think I was there. I think I was away.
Was it Dundee North End, wasn't it?
Dundee North End, aye. Good team.
Very good side.
We played them a couple of times.
I was there actually, and did we win penalties or did we? What was it, 3-2? I can't remember what the score was. It was a close game, and if I'm honest, I felt we should have beaten them.
Yeah.
But we didn't. So.
They're a great setup, Dundee North End.
They are.
As you can say. But they do a thing, I can't remember what it is, I think it's 25 quid, and you get your ticket, your programme, a 3-course meal, and I think 2 drinks or something like that.
Wow.
See, in fairness, we do sushi. You've tasted
it. That's true.
If you knew sushi, like I knew sushi.
Aye.
I do the sushi. They don't do sushi up in Dundee.
For years, Craig tried to get people to talk about us, and nobody would talk about us, other than, it's Garkieran, they're spending money or whatever. We put sushi on the hospitality one day, and that was it. It was all overplaying ball. It was everything. Garkieran sushi, whoa!
Well, Keelan did the same, didn't they? They did the Buckfast pie, and that's what got them there.
That's true, yes, I saw that.
There's 1,000 ways to skin a cat.
There is.
As long as people, the only thing worse about group talk is people not talking about you, so absolutely. I can't talk to you about football, Craig, without talking about the tour that the trophy went on in the summer.
What country
it's been everywhere, hasn't it? It's been absolutely everywhere. It's been fantastic to see.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's a bit of a running joke that it's been every bus stop, every pub, every school in the west of Scotland, but to be fair, it's been brilliant. I love that. Like, bringing it into some of the schools, you get 200 and 300 kids screaming and shouting, and loads of them were at the game as well. Loads of them actually, a bit of question and answer, and some of them telling us they were on the park, as soon as the full time whistle went on, the final penalty, and it's a bit of a pitch invasion, so a lot of the kids got in the park, so that's memories for them, kids as young as 5 and 6 on the pitch, and then get a chance to see the trophy and hold the trophy. So I think that's really important, and it's something that Johnstone Burgh really pride themselves in as being a really community club. So the schools was a great touch, I thought, and we got round pretty much all of them at one point. And then it obviously did the tour around a lot of the sponsors, and again, the sponsors for the club are brilliant. They do lots of kind of community stuff, and on Tuesday night they have a kind of open night where they have free food and games for members of the public to come up, and there's a number of kind of local providers in terms of like takeaway places, butcher shops and whatever else, who donate food to that, so it's great to get out and
Fantastic,
see some of the sponsors and thank them properly and get them a wee bit of press and recognition, because again it's all part of that kind of community feel at the club. And then I think they obviously found its way into a few pubs and a few bookies and bus stops and whatever else. I felt that a wee bit of a fraud, to be honest, because I got asked to do a couple of them, and I'm up there with the trophy. I hadn't even played in the final, so I took a wee bit of stick for that. But
you have played in a final, which
I have,
absolutely.
I have. But it's great for the club. It's great press, but it's good for the optics of it. But more importantly, it's about getting people involved. And now there's kids at the game who maybe weren't there, who got a wee bit of a buzz at that, who got to see the trophy.
And that's what it's for. That's great.
Absolutely.
Can I just echo that and say that it's great for the association? You know, because listen, like it or loathe it, you know, I'm fighting battles at times to try and get everybody involved and everything. And that, to me, was just what our level of football was all about.
Absolutely.
You know, the pride I took for what you were doing, and that's me on the other side of it.
I loved it. We spoke about it earlier. You know, there is a real buzz about the Junior Cup. It's something that when I first came into the juniors a number of years ago, it was one of the things that everybody spoke about, and you see that year in, year out. Everybody gets excited about the draw. You know, you get a couple of rounds through, and the buzz comes, and you see a lot of fans at games who don't maybe make the league games because people kind of look forward to that. It does get more through the gates, and as you said, an away tie, and if you're lucky enough to get to quarter-final, semi-final, final, it's incredible. You see the numbers that come out for the finals year on year. It's on telly.
It was actually something I was talking to somebody about this week. The semi-finals are an amazing occasion which folk don't talk about as much. I remember I was talking to yourself at the Johnstone Burgh game. Was that last season? I think it was this prior season. I think yes.
That was just an incredible day. It was beautiful sunshine, huge crowd, good game. Everybody milling about, you know, Ali McCoy's up the back watching it.
Someone because he couldn't get a game.
He couldn't get Big Kyle Lafferty when he play with him. But I mean, I think the thing about the Junior Cup, especially for, and I think it goes right down the generations, but for me, it would be the second biggest cup, national cup. I mean, it'd be after the Scottish Cup, and then, you know, forget about
it's the fourth oldest
in the
cup
world.
That's played, still played for.
And I think the thing about it is, Craig's done there, and I think it's these kids in schools, they're like me going to Darvel or whatever. That's their memories. And see, if you get into the game, I'm still. People say, man, I wake up on a Saturday morning, somebody will say, my son will phone me, what you doing? I'm going to Camelon what? You know, or whatever. And it still gets me, and that all started at 3, 4, 5, 6. Going to places like that and seeing the football just wasn't about the football. Football was an experience. Culture.
Absolutely.
You're going in there. And the great thing is, I keep insisting on calling the juniors, but the great thing about the juniors is that I'll maybe go to 20, 30, 40 junior games a season, and it just gets reinforced all the time what it's about, where it's community, in whatever terms, people, social inclusion, you're talking about people now getting something to eat there, something that you can, any junior club you go to will have a huge amount of that involved in it. And then any junior club you go to that's been lucky enough to win the Scottish Cup, there were 3 or 4 guys sitting in the corner and say, I'll tell you about such and such, 1962, or I'll tell you about the first time we were there, and that's football.
Do you know something? That was one of the things about the final that really got me, was there was 2 guys that came along for Johnstone Burgh that had won the last time.
Right,
and one of the guys' daughters had contacted me during the week, and the story was just tremendous. I actually managed to get a couple of medals for them and get them out to the guys. Just for that final, they're different medals, but you know, I just thought, right, that's
it's a nice touch.
And it's, but just what you're commenting on, and we were going to talk about this. We were looking at a name change. You know, we were looking at how do we rebrand, how do we get sponsors? You know, because I was going for sponsors and I was getting them, and as soon as you mentioned the word junior, connotations of kids, and every club goes through the same stuff.
Exactly, every club, every player, every supporter, when you go away on holiday and you say, I support a junior club, what's that like? How much is that, Joe? And you've got to go through the part explaining it, but you have the same with sponsors and all sorts.
So we sat and we were running various things through our head, well, every one of your clubs plays in the community. Every club plays in. It's a buzzword as well, but every club plays in the community. You look at Auchinleck, you look at Johnstone Burgh. What's involved within their football club is the community.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, a lot of it came from the mining days and whatever else. But that's what it is. It's what you have done is a benchmark now. Yeah. That for me is right up there. I think that's brilliant what you have done.
I've been fortunate to play obviously a couple of teams in the juniors, and that's what gets you. As a club, it's not just knowing your players, your teammates, or the management team. It's everybody that's involved and connected with the club. You look at Johnstone Burgh's got such a massive network of volunteers who do amazing things. We've got a young girl, she's turned 16, who's just done 200 hours volunteering. She interviews Monday and a Saturday. I love that. A couple of times I'm telling her, going to ask why I'm not playing, asking questions. But you go from that. So you've got young kids who are coming with kind of mini ultras, which is just brilliant as well. The effort that they put into that, right through to real older generation. We've got a lot of ex-players that come along.
Walk for the square.
Brilliant. We had
adds a bit of colour, adds a bit of noise, adds a bit of
we actually had one of my good mates, grandpa, Eck, he was 90 and he came into the changing room last year for his 90th birthday, and the last game he got to was the cup final, and I've got a picture of him on the park, with his hat on and just loving life, and sadly he's passed away, but that was the last game that he got to. But he was just absolute Johnstone Burgh diehard, and just shows you that regardless of the generation, people go to the club. It's all about that community,
and you're now building the next.
That's
all the fans.
Well, that's the really important thing about the ultras, because every club you go to now, there's all these wee guys with the drums and that, and that's really important to bring
just don't stand beside them.
Just where they're going with it. But it's really important that they get that kind of link, that bond with the club.
I like, as you say, is the colour. But listen, the unfortunate thing is, you've got a lot of health and safety within grounds now and everything, and I get it, I understand that, but I still don't want to take the cover out of it. Our guy Craig, he's like, he's a fruit loop. He's an absolute fruit loop. He bought him fireworks and everything and told him to stand outside. We have a firework display and everything, and you're sitting going, Craig, you're going to get me into trouble, but would I take it out? Your ultras, feel like Clyde's ultras, sometimes they can go too far.
That's it. 99% of the time it's all good-hearted. A lot of the young ultras in our team, they actually make links with other teams when they come in, and it's all laugh and jokes and whatever else, and obviously some on occasion it spills over, but it's an absolute minority, and it's generally nothing over the top. We just need to obviously make sure that, as you say, that
listen, you can watch it and police it, you can do what you want, and for the life of me I really hope that we don't drum that out of football. I think it's great. I think any car, any noise, anything.
So much that and it's for us sitting here, we know it, but it's to get into the wider public. I mean, particularly I think the political classes, that football actually is a very, very good thing in Scotland. Yeah. It's a very significant thing. It's a very important thing. It's just that, a lot of times people look down their noses at it and really think it's just a game. And the game's
it's so much.
The game's about that much,
It's about mental health. It's about companionship. It's
social isolation.
Everything.
And when I do this thing, which I do every week, and go and write about this, it's present. It's visible. You go into Troon and there's a guy sitting at Troon and say, "What are you doing?" You can see he's an old guy. I'm 89 and I come here every week. They're at home. And if I'm not here, somebody will come around and chat my door, and you go. I had it at Bonnyrigg Roads. The guy sitting behind me, two old guys sitting behind the Bonnyrigg Roads, and then a wee woman come up to me, "I haven't seen you for 2 weeks." No, I wasn't feeling well. If you're not feeling well, phone the club and we'll get somebody.
Again, that's a community.
It's visible. It's there.
Yeah. At Gilkey, we've got a different problem. We don't have fans, so we don't have that. We chat those who are going to come in.
You've got fans, and you just need everybody else. Just need more of them.
Absolutely.
So I'm probably hijacking you.
No, it's fine. That's what we're here for. But like I said, I was listening to Off the Ball last weekend, and Tom Cowan was talking about he sat with his mates talking. They were at the cup semi-final the other week, and they said they spoke about it after, and they decided actually the football's such a small part of our day and routine, and actually some days we'd probably be better just staying in the pub and not going to the football because it's about but it's about the people you go with. It's about the places you go before the game. It's about where you go after the game. It's about your routine is part of it, and
it's your history. It's your, like, I'm 70 now, and the part that football, and I'm unashamedly say this, the part that football has played in my life, the hours and all that is huge, and it's one of the it's the greatest thing. It's why you go and watch Gartcairn, and then 2 weeks later you fly watch Napoli. I'm in the privileged position. You go to watch Napoli. You go to the
Gartcairn game as well.
You go to this, you go to Johnstone Burgh, and you go to Super Classico, and I mean I like all kinds of football.
I love that. That is.
I just love it. It's mad, and I've got to love it, but it's why football's so significant in people's lives.
Saves marriages as well. My wife says if I wasn't out at football all the time, we'd be divorced.
Well, I'm stuck in that bit of position just now. I'm 40 in the summer, and I've pretty much made my decision. I think that this will be my last season. Still think I can play. I'm still fit. I'm still playing, but I just think go out in a high hopefully this season. But I then think to myself, what am I going to do? On Saturday there is. I've been looking into that, but the odd Saturday where the game's rained off or whatever, and we're not training, and you're the thought of going to Braehead or Silverburn or anything like that. So thankfully the wee man he's playing, so if I can get into his coaching, that might take a wee bit of it out of it, and
give him something back as well.
Try and get to games when I can as well.
And see what it gives you as well, Craig. It gives you a history with your kids, right?
Yeah.
And I've still got that thing because I used to take the social worker be involved if they listen to this. I used to take my kids to see Stirling Albion, right? Because I was living in Stirling at the time, and still paying the counselling bills for that. But anyway, it gives you that past with them, so that even they're 43 and 40, but they're conscious. Dad, do you ever remember that day we went to Brechin there? Remember that? Coldest, they were watching David Attenborough or something like that in the Arctic, and they say, the coldest place we ever did that was Broadwood. It gives you, there's that, it's that shared history.
Shared memories and stories.
And that's why it's a glue. What was the glue?
It absolutely is. Absolutely is. And as you say, with families, with communities, with whoever it happened to be.
One of my first memories in football, I'm a Celtic fan, was my uncle took me to Dundee. And I remember that the orange light for the lamppost, the mist, and then an orbit of mist, and it wasn't a real orbit of mist, it was all the guys standing beside them. But that was one of my earliest memories of football. I must have been 4 or 5 at the time, but that's always stuck in my head.
Absolutely, and see that floodlight thing. I defy anybody to say your first floodlights is one of the greatest moments of your life. When you just go, wow, and see even now I'll go to any game. I'm like you, I'm Celtic fan, so I'll go to the Champions League. Even now, 7 years.
Champions League.
No, this season we've given it a nudge this season, but you go to a European game and you're walking up that, and you're remembering people, you're remembering games, you're there with your and then the floodlights come and you go, I'm talking late 60s, I'm 70, you go,
you need to get
surge again, the
you
floodlights.
need to get date in your diary then. I think the Borough's floodlights should be up before the end of the year.
Is that right?
So
I'll definitely
under lights in the juniors, it's brilliant.
Magic.
There is something special about it. We try and get ours put in a couple of years ago, and we opened them with a game against Petershill on the Friday night in December, and Craig Brown came down at the time and opened the floodlights for us and cut the ribbon and all the rest of it, and it was a fantastic night. A very forgettable game, but it was a fantastic night.
The atmosphere was just different under the lights,
absolutely.
Had a few big ones at Park, and it's brilliant, just great atmosphere, even regardless of the weather, just under the lights. Just makes it a wee bit special.
It's just something a bit different about it, isn't it? Just something a bit special.
A bit of biting cold's the best one.
And see the rain as well. See if you're a fan and you're watching the game, the floodlights, it's just like all the rain's going like tracer bullets and that. There's something about it, it's just something magnificent about it.
So if you're watching the floodlights, you're not watching the game.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a journalist. Were you at the game, son? No, I was watching the floodlights.
As we were saying, the football's a small part of it.
Massively, it's I've kind of got to the stage where I don't get to see much of the game now because I'm busy doing this and busy doing that. And
Familiar with that story, unfortunately.
so, aye, well, it is, you know, the kind of stuff that we do within our own clubs, and that's, you know, you eventually get to see that side as well, where I want to watch a game, and you can't, and what was that a goal, was it? Right, no worries, I'll see it in the view later on. And
That's 2-0, 3-0, when did the third one? Aye.
I've got the opposite thing, because see, like, being a journalist watching the game, you had to write at the same time, so your head was up and down what happened, because you had to write 1,500 words, and as soon as the final whistle went, the officer on the phone, where is it? You know, literally. So it was like that, and so the game was a tense thing, and see that I love now is going to a game, and it could be any game. I was at Glasgow Hampden Park, just going to a game and just watching it, you know, because my article will not be about really what's going on at the game, it'll be with the supporters, the history of the club, what they're doing, and you're just sitting there and you just say, oh, you're watching a game and getting paid for it. It's not bad life.
Get to enjoy it for a change, yes. Yeah.
And that's another thing we could talk about is the way that the football has changed as well over the years. The way that players now are all fit, all coached. Coaching's at a level. I mean, the old days of coaching was
cigarettes at half time.
They drink at half time, but now, you know,
Been some improvements as well.
I mean, what are you talking about there? What are you talking about doing in terms of during the match, 11k or something? Are you saying?
We've got a couple of players that will average 12 and 13k during the game. I think for myself at centre back, it's even right back sometimes like 9, 10, 11k. Fairly comfortably. That said, Keane Park's massive, so it's a bit different to that. But yeah, we've got some players who average. Stuart Falls in the middle parks averaging 13k. Even at training, we've got boys consistently averaging 10, 11, 12k, which is really impressive, you know.
As you said, it goes back to them being athletes now. It's a different story. It's a different level of fitness these days.
Absolutely, a different level of coaching as well. Everybody's doing shape and everything like that. You know.
Different level of coaching that we know that's what's been tracked. We know what the stats are. Yeah. So you've got obviously you do the on the road feature for the newspapers. Where's that taking you to this season?
So far this season, where it's taken me to the Velodrome in Marseille. I was there for Marseille v PSG, but it's also taken me to. I'm just trying to think. I was taking me to Glasgow Heart Saturday, which was good, and then just various, just like junior games, you know, throughout the I can't call it juniors, but semi-pro. I was at Lithgow Rose, which is obviously a Lowland League. Been at Clydebank, Lowland League again. But it's just every week you give them 3 choices, and they pick what they want. Or if they didn't want any of your 3 choices, they'll say, well, we actually want you to go there. So, but I was at Arthurlie the other week as well, which is a favourite place of mine.
We were talking about that earlier.
To be the old junior ground, you know.
That's going to,
and it's all going to change. That's another thing that's going. And if you were saying to anybody at Arthurlie, I'm not telling stories out of school, I don't think there'll be anybody at Arthurlie that wants to leave it. But I don't think there's anybody at Arthurlie that really argues about the sense of leaving it. You know, they've got to move on. It was funny because Arthurlie had a ground hopping day.
That looked fantastic.
There was guys from all over Britain came up. Guys were leaving at 3 o'clock in the morning to drive up and watch the Arthurlie game and drive back down the road. And there's terrific stories all the time with these things. I mean, there's Glasgow Heart and Saturday, the goalkeeper was 52. He was playing for Heart, and he was brilliant. He was good. And he says I had a bad injury. He says I had to get my spleen taken out. And I went.
I was out for 20 years.
Well, I felt the same. It was a bit of, I said, I had a bad hammy once, you know. He says, what'd you have there? He said, I had my spleen. He said, I came out to get a ball and a guy half me. He says, I said, who's that? He says, 20, literally, he said, 20 years ago. In the junior. He says, I was back the next season. You know, he's standing there just ready to shout with a big scar going to the. But that's the kind of the stories you get. I mean, there's football in the raw, and it's just terrific stuff. Saturday morning final, which has obviously been Glasgow held on a Friday night. And it was out in Ben Bourbon, and there's this wee boy running up and doing the ring. He's carrying a bit of weight and that, but he's good and he's lighting it. He's up and doing the ring. And after 70 minutes, he comes off. And of course, the great thing at that level of football is you stand next to Glasgow when he comes off, you know. And I'm used to doing like professional, I did Champions League, World Cups and all that. So you're never near any of football. But so the boy goes, I said, listen, Paul, I says, you're absolutely brilliant. When did you go off? He said, I was done. I said, you're doing quite a lot of running, surely. He said, no, that. I said, I've done emotionally. I said, what? He said, I've just come from my dad's funeral. I went, what? And he looked at me and he says, well, what else would I do?
I get that.
He
100% I get
we're
it.
sitting in the, he says, these are all my mates. He says, what, sit in the pub myself or in the house with a bag of cans? He says, and it was very moving, you know,
Yeah.
and he was meaning it. And the point
Yeah.
and I said to him, well, there's the other side of it where the boys, it's been some sort of consolation for them.
But that takes you back to what you were saying, the football's that much.
Yeah.
You know, there's everything else. Then my pals keep me going. You know, I've got a final. My dad would want me playing the final. And,
Yeah.
I know the boys that run that league, good lads.
Probably incredibly cathartic for that guy to go out and play football that night. It was probably very important to him.
It was, and then again, with that level of football, it's all shapes. I mean, nowadays, as you know, and
Shape's a different thing at that level.
Very much. You know, you go to I mean, in the days when I went to junior games and the boys a bit overweight, or the boys small. I mean, nowadays are just athletes, particularly at the top end. You know, but at that level, there's still the ability to go out and have a game on a Saturday if you've got a few pounds on you. And sometimes if you're not that actually that great either at football,
Listen,
which is important.
I had that conversation with Campbell Ovey one time and he was talking about jumpers for goalposts and this, and it was when I was involved with the amateurs. I says, Campbell, you don't get it. I says, see the amateurs are the last bastion that actually play it for the love of the game. I says, there are no younger guys that are aiming to be up there, there are no junior players that are getting paid, they're trying to be something else. They're the guys that know that are going out to play it for enjoyment.
Yep.
And that to me was massive. You know, for me it was always about the clubs. It's still the same, but it's always about the clubs, it's always about the players. It's not about the guys that are up here, it's not about the guys that run it, it's about what's on the park and then what's in the crowd.
Absolutely.
You know, that's massive for me.
And you see it all the time, you hear it if you go to these clubs or you go to Johnstone Burgh or whatever, you're just talking. I think generally, you know, and I don't want to be too pious about it, but you're talking to good people, and by good people I mean it's people who are giving rather than taking.
Yeah.
That's the equation. All these clubs are run by people who give rather than take, and I think it's quite moving at times actually, you know, because people are getting absolutely nothing out of it that way. They're losing money. You know?
Yeah, I know that. I really know that. Don't tell my wife.
But and the whole thing is give. You know, you could be talking to like Gordon Ronnie down at Kilburn, and you're talking about Gordon.
He gave his health.
Yeah, he gave his health.
Absolutely.
And at the end of the game, you say, "Oh, thanks very much." And I said, "I'll just say, so I'll have to say goodbye to Gordon. There'll be a night like the night, you know, rain battering down and that. There's Gordon out, tuning into the nets, cleaning the bins.
Yep. Do what you go today.
And
Exactly.
there's people like that
Everywhere.
everywhere.
Absolutely. Craig, obviously we talked about the Junior Cup win in the summer.
Yeah.
That's your second Junior Cup win, is it not?
It is, yeah.
Yes, you won it at Glasgow a few years ago.
Yeah, 2016, I think, 16, 17.
And Callum Cairn still talks about that, does he not?
Well, so he should.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
an
very good hit.
absolute cracker. Yeah, no, I mean, that was just an incredible season. We probably weren't expected to go and have as good a season as we did, but end up winning the treble. And you know, people always ask you, fitting that we're sitting here talking about the Junior Cup, people ask you know what's the best one to win, the league or the cup, and I think that people assume the league because you know you've had to win more games. It's a much bigger challenge, particularly at an era where Auchinleck were winning pretty much everything. To get through the season to win the league was brilliant, but the cup win, the Scottish Cup's just the atmosphere, the crowd, the whole thing about the community. It's on telly. That's just different. So that's just probably the bigger kind of trophy for me to win, and it's one that you'll never forget.
What a trophy it is.
Aye, I know. And
Really, really, really
a way to win that was just
It was
incredible.
a hell of a goal, wasn't it?
Incredible.
It's,
Incredible. And again,
Describe it, I
it
don't
was
know.
a left-footed effort, which is probably still not hit the ground yet. It's one of those ones that just you couldn't have caught it sweeter.
It's just floated, and it's had a big Leishman who's a giant, and
Yep.
he wasn't getting anywhere near it. As soon as he hit it, it was in, one of the ones. And
Was it against Long Lake, was it?
aye, so they actually
Rugby
come
Park.
back, and Kenzie, who probably hadn't crossed the halfway line all season, he's one of the best left foots you'll see, and he never really got forward and hit many shots, but that one's just ridiculous. Great finish, and again we talk about community. That for Grafton was just brilliant. The rivalry between those two clubs, and it was like not half, all a Newcombe looking all a knocking lecker at the game.
Was it the same kind of effect that you had with Johnstone Burgh?
Absolutely, absolutely. Again,
Like
after
community.
they'd obviously won it in the past, and actually earlier, a couple of years before, we got to the final and get beaten in the final by Hurlford. So that kind of gave us a wee bit of a taste that we can bring 3,000 and 4,000 fans to this from Newcombe. And that's got, again, it's very similar community feel. Some brilliant volunteers that do so much for the club. The owners were brilliant, and that gradually, as we went through that competition that year, we started to get bigger crowds, and then you get to the final and it's huge. So it's brilliant. And then again, quite similar to actually Johnstone, you're coming back into the village with the trophy, and it's just hundreds of people waiting. It's brilliant.
I watched what Lars done as well. He was the semi-finals last year, and what Lars were getting the merchandise out in the hole. I think it was it 1-0 in the second semi-final.
The first one was 1-0, then we won the second one 2-0.
And just listen, there's opportunity to make money. From my point of view, I've tried to kind of make it more of a business. We pay a bigger payout now. It actually cost us £86,000 to run the competition last year, but we made a profit. So we made a profit, which then gets back in, and we're looking at various things about how do we subsidise the clubs that, in the first couple of rounds, there's maybe somebody comes for Aberdeen down to.
Well, that's like
Whatever.
bus travels up. We're talking about away days. Bus travels obviously a cost, increasingly costly thing for a club.
But the money for it gets back in, but there is big money now to win it, which maybe wasn't quite there. But Johnstone Burgh, I estimate they done over 50 grand last year. So being in the competition is great. But I can only imagine what they've done after that, and how much more they've generated, how much more they generate this season because of it. And
we touched on the other semi-finals were huge for that. Largs obviously would have capitalised on that. It's a great crowd down at Largs that day. It was a lovely day as well, which
both
helped.
games was
Well, I was in the quarter-finals that year at Largs, and they played Armadale, and it was.
I was there as well, actually.
I think Armadale brought 8 buses, I suppose.
Armadale actually knocked us out the round prior to that, to the Largs game, and
I was at that one.
Did you come down to that? You didn't.
Armadale wasn't.
No, that's true. And I think they brought 3 buses down to us that day. It was a fantastic travelling support, and that they went down to 10 men for the first half in that game. The travelling support carried them through. Made a big difference. So,
see, one of the things that I'm just kind of, this is me playing the game again. One of the things that we're going to try and do, the more money that we bring in, we're going to try and subsidise the clubs. That if somebody comes for Aberdeen down to Glasgow and no fans and whatever else, there's a guarantee to pay. So much as we've covered the guarantee, so if say it's a £280 guarantee, we'll then match that £280 to help with the bus, but we need to find a way to try to help the club just in case they maybe only take £160 through the gate.
which happens.
So how can, what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out how we can subsidise that up to the 280 so that they're not out of pocket at all, and then allow us to build on that, even if we do it the first 2 rounds. So, but I was in
that makes a big difference to the club.
massive.
I mentioned we're going to Carnoustie. Plus for that's 4 figures. We're not going to get that money back from the people that are on the bus and obviously the gate share. It's an investment. But if you can help out clubs right for the first round, it's a big difference.
To be honest, what I want to do is try and help out the first 2 rounds. If we can do something there, because it tends to be your lower down teams that will go out, obviously. But this came about for, I think it was Aberdeen East End playing us, and they came down and they had one committee person on the bus in the team, and there was nobody else, not another soul, and I'm going, that's no fair. The fact that we've got a home tie, we're putting a big bit of hospitality on, in fairness with the pies and all that kind of stuff here as well, it's just no fair. So I kind of took it away and I'm going, right, we need to, we can afford it. I'm no pleading poverty or anything, right? We can afford it, but you don't want to lose money anywhere.
No, you don't.
So that's how we're now looking at how do we do this.
But that's for the benefit of the tournament generating a profit at the end of the year. It means that you can reinvest that into projects like that.
Speaking to somebody the other day who tells me their teams don't play for money. Sorry, but I nearly push myself off.
The reality is that money is very easy to lose and very hard to get in football. So we do unfortunately have to think about football. Have to think about the money in football. Sorry. Yes.
It's all these players like Johnstone Burgh that get paid millions.
Which ones? Not me.
You need to get an agent.
I was forgetting, obviously, you're in the Glasgow team that lost to Hereford that day as well. And that's your third in finals. Was that Ross Robertson scored that day, was that?
He went down twice to win 2 penalties for Big Chesney.
He went down twice.
Aye, very clever. Ross is a great striker. At his prime, he was arguably one of the best I played against. But it was Stuart Keane, I think, that scored the two, or the other way round. Maybe the other way round. I can't remember. One of them get fouled twice and one of them scored the penalty twice.
No, I remember Ross got pulled down by McChesney.
Aye, twice.
Sorry, I remember the first one. I don't remember the second, but I remember the first definitely.
That was the first season after Dan Henderson had went to Hereford and obviously took 7 or 8 players with him. So we were kind of decimated a wee bit, and Tam Bryce came in and put a team together, and we got the final.
You had a really slow start that season because you had to rebuild, didn't you? But you were flying it then.
We ended up staying up, and then obviously got to the cup final, and then the next year we won the cup. It was Ardagh Cup. It was called.
Yes,
against Auckland.
That's right.
We were brilliant. We'd signed really well. Like guys like Adam Strack and came in, and it was just Jeremy McKernan, Kingsley, these types of guys.
Pat Walker and Mike O'Reilly were there.
Aye. So that was a very good side as well.
Yeah, and I remember your first touch with the Junior Cup was with Durai, was it not?
It was. Aye.
Fantastic year.
Aye, I mean that was a brilliant season again.
From what I'm told, you got to the semi-final just because of the goalkeeper. Is that right?
That's what you took.
Oh, that won't be done well.
No, Big Mark. Aye. So we were. I'm not actually sure what division it would have been, but we were second. Maybe it would have been. And again, a proper village, really good community club, and got to the semi-final. And the reason I don't mention that was I missed a penalty in the semi-final. We went through to Musselburgh and get beaten. We brought them back home, and good crowd. I think it was 2,000-3,000 there, and Durai probably unheard of for many a year. And we conceded fairly early, and then we had a penalty, and I've hit the post. So I don't remember that one particularly well. But for us at that point, to the team for the league that we were in to get to semi-final was brilliant. And again, really good memories. I still speak to all the boys. That's another thing about football. When you get a bit of success, that team kind of stays together, and we still have regular group chats and get-togethers and stuff to try and celebrate.
Get together not that long ago again at Wexford, didn't you?
Well, we had a couple. We had a charity match for Sammy Cron. We've had a couple now, so all the boys get back together and play. Some of them, I think there's no many of them still playing, so it's a bit slower these days than what it was previously. But a brilliant bunch of boys, and again, it's good to see someone who went on. Like Dan Henderson was the manager at the time with John Garrick. So that was my first taste of the juniors, or the cup final, and then obviously to get there properly after getting beat in the semi was good. To lose it and then to finally win it twice, and the hope is that we can go and do that again this year, and then I can sign off in style, hopefully with a third medal.
Who do you think would be, just at this stage, who do you think would be the favourites this year?
You'd like to think we're in there. We're the holders. We should be looking to retain it, but it's not that easy. There's some really good sides in it still. Obviously, there's a couple of teams that are doing really well in the league. Within our league too, and Auckland being both of them, both really good sides, loads of energy, loads of pace. That'll be difficult. I think Cameron are still in it as well. Is that right? Obviously, we've played them twice already. A victory and a defeat. And they're a good side as well. I'm not sure who they play. I think they play Dundee and then the winner plays Kilburn. That's right. So there's still plenty of good teams. We've got a really tough tie, I think, in the next round. Talk about travelling the country, but we get probably one of the closest teams at home, and Renfrew are flying high. I know their manager and assistant really well, both really impressed, doing a great job, a really impressive job. They've got some really good players, good young players and a bit of experience. So that'll be a tough game, I think. They're probably the informed team, I would say, out with.
Yeah, it's a cup, anything can happen.
Absolutely.
Aye. So
It's
a tough one.
what we've seen, was it Lossiemouth beat Bolton Lake?
United, yes.
Alec Lawrison, that's with him. He was with Garcairn and then moved up there. And I was delighted for him and gutted at the same time. So Bolton Lake's the cup for us. I'm looking at the financial side and everything else. But that is
It's a junior cup.
it's a cup, isn't it? It's brilliant.
I certainly wouldn't use the word free hit, but Renfrew will definitely fancy their chances.
Oh,
Going thinking they don't have much to lose.
So they should. They're flying high. They're doing really well in the league. And they'll probably come into it with teams expecting us to win it, away from home. But that's a really tough tie. And as I said before, obviously Jimmy and Ryan are doing a brilliant job there. So it's a tough one. It should hopefully again another good crowd. It should be.
Especially being a local game. I think you get good from both sides. Yeah. Have a wee look through the draw for the next round and the games that are coming up next weekend. First, Giffnock Soccer Club against Dundee Violet, Benburb against Tayport. That'll be two former giants. That'll be a very tight game.
Benburb obviously got a great result to get through in the Scottish as well.
I thought you were going to see a great result last week.
Well, they did. Was the final score?
Scudded is 4-1.
They've obviously come off a massive high in the winning penalties.
I saw them right there at West Park as well, so that was another game. And Benburb were thinking, they were thinking, I wish we had another away game because Fergie weighed them in.
Indeed, yes.
So
that's right,
which is one of my greatest moments at a junior ground was a couple of seasons ago. I was at Benburb doing on the road, and I saw a picture of Alec Ferguson on the wall, and I went, I didn't know he played for Benburb. So I texted him. I never phone him or anything like that, I've still got his number. But you don't phone. I've just got his numbers.
I'll get Paddy Kerr.
So I texted him. I says, I'm in Benburb. I says, there's a big Govan Centre forwards picture on the wall, and he texted me back and he said, is he good looking? And I said, well, I couldn't possibly comment. So he said, if you've got a minute, this is a great one of the great lines, if you've got a minute, give us a phone a bit. Phone's trapped. So I'm standing underneath the motorway, it's flying over. The photographer comes up and says, who let you pictures? He says, I wonder, who are you on the phone with? And I went, Alec Ferguson. And then of course he obviously said, you're off your head. But Fergie tells a great story about Benburb, that he was in the sort of underage team, and they packed in the underage team, so they turned up with their training. And at the end of it, him and his two mates were outside, and they said, listen, it's packed in, go and find another pub. And he said to the two boys, well, where are you going? And one of the boys said, oh, I'm going back over the ferry. He said, Partick Thistle want me. And it was Donnie McKinnon. Right? And Fergie said, well, who are you going to? And the boy looked at the lights, the Rangers, I'm just going to go to the Rangers. It was Ronnie McKinnon. So that was the three guys that were standing outside Benburb that day. So when he said, I'll give you a story, he always comes up trumps. That was it.
But he didn't forget his roots either. He's turned back up there, he's paid for the hotel.
But it's like that thing, the darkest secret about him is, everybody hears about hairdryers and all that. His darkest secret is the way he weighs people in, because he was down at Benburb one day after Rangers had played in the Champions. It might even been the day they were playing at Ibrox in the Champions League. The players might have been having a sleep and that, and he went up and just chatted to us. I'm Alec Ferguson, going to have a wee look around. So Frank and the boys were taking him about.
Frank's as much a legend as Sir Alex is.
Aye, come on, he's got his own standing there.
Aye, he is.
I had a wee chuckle actually, because when Alex Ferguson was there a few weeks ago when this was all announced, the photograph was them sitting in the social club in there, and if any of us were in the room, Alex Ferguson would sit and say nothing and listen to it. The picture was Frank Lovering. You can tell it. I thought that's the Frank Lovering I love.
Alex sent him up 200 quid in a cheque and said, can you get us a couple of skirt hats with the grand veins, a sticker from a car, a mug or whatever, just keep the change. So the definite story is, I can guarantee this is true because I have been in Carrington, is that the mug on his desk is "I love Bembers."
Fantastic.
His car, I don't know anything about cars, I don't know except, you know, he's got this car which is the size of what I would call a single end, you know, this big black sleek motor, and the back is Bember supporter. And I say to myself, he must be driving around Manchester and everybody's saying, that's Fergie's car. What's this Bember? You know?
I love her.
So
I love her.
can you imagine Ronaldo going in those days, Ronaldo going to go, what's this Bember, or Wayne Rooney or whatever? Terrific. And he would revel in that as well.
Absolutely, tell them all the stories about it. Yeah. Fantastic, love that. Next round game we've got Kilburn Lakeside at home to the winners of Dundee North End or Camelon, as you said. First of all, that's a tough tie to get through into this.
We played Dundee North End twice, I think, in the last 2 seasons, and said before, you know, really well run club, get a really good squad. Is it Kevin McDonald or something?
Kevin McDonald, and what's his number 2?
Lewis
Toshney, the Celtic.
I saw something during the week actually that it was his 100th game in charge, I think. Kevin McDonald last week, he's won 78 of them.
Aye.
That's a record.
Absolutely. Aye, so that'll be an interesting game then against Camelon, and then obviously the winner playing against Kilburn, get new manager, and should be in a bit of a bounce. So
Colin obviously was at the Junior Cup final a couple of seasons ago with Arthur. He's had a wee impact in there already, a few players coming in as well. So yeah, that'll be a very interesting tie. Johnstone Burgh Renfrew obviously, one you'll be looking forward to.
Aye, so I've got obviously a game before that to play against Scottish at the weekend, which is nice for me getting back down here.
Yes.
But aye, as I said before, really tough tie. We just need to be our best, I think, to try and get through that.
I think you've always, regardless of who it is, I think you've always got to beat your best, and if, you know, sometimes you can beat yourself.
Aye, true.
You know, and it's, the romance of it, I love them.
Into just the next game, Yoker Athletic versus Rutherglen Glencairn, two former finalists of recent years. Yoker have been on a wee bit of an upturn this year actually, it looks like. Dominance in charges.
Glencairn struggling in the league but doing okay in the cup.
Yeah.
We played them on Saturday there, and to be fair, the chances are goalies made a ridiculous save at 0-0. So I was fairly impressed with them, get some good players in that team, and obviously with the management team, they're well organised, they're fit, they're aggressive, so it'll be an interesting game around.
Yeah, that'll be another tight one. Cambuslang Rangers or West Calder United against Drumchapel United. Again, it's a hard one to call. We've got Fraserburgh United, Dundonald Bluebell or Lugar at home to Lochie United. Lochie United, a club we've played a couple of times in the last few years. We played them, last season we played them I think, and a few seasons before. Another club that bring a great travelling support.
We've kind of played them in friendlies every year, so I knew the boys up there, North Stanton was up there, and then he's away, and then obviously Larry was up there, so good set up, and they look as if they're heading for the Lowland League East. So
a giant of a club up there. As I said, they brought two fantastic travelling supports, and they came to us, and good folk. A couple of ties to be played before we get to that stage, obviously, with that, but it's that'll be a tough game. Kirkintilloch Rob against Bellshill Athletic, a more local tie.
I think that's two teams that are really good in it.
Both flying.
You know, Kirky Rob we played them. We were 2-0 up and cruising, and then we let them back into it. And if I'm honest, we were lucky to hang on. But Bellshill as well, you know, there seems to be a few big name players getting in and whatnot. I think that'll be a cracker tie.
We played Kirkintilloch Rob in pre-season. I was talking to John Gibson after the game, and he was saying that was a really tight game until about 70 minutes, and then it tailed off a wee bit. And John said after the game, we're one or two players off. They've got Craig Tuesdale in now.
That's right.
I can't remember who the other one was as well.
Yeah, we actually tried to get him, but there was a limit we were going to. So.
Yeah.
I think he was there before, wasn't he?
He was, yeah. He went there after he left Airdrie. That's when he came into the juniors, but that seems to have given them a wee spark, and they've got in a really good run since then. Yeah, as you say, Bellshill, obviously Callum Graham's the sort of headline one, but they've been doing well, still top of the table.
I think it'll be one of the ties.
Yeah. Very interesting game that.
Probably end up 7-1 to one of them.
Aye, probably.
And the new setup at Kirky as well,
which is
new
fantastic.
ground, etc. Again, we've been talking about people moving away and creating that's a great wee setup they've got there.
Great to see them back in their community after 10 plus years been away.
Absolutely. Because I know it hurt a lot of people. And there's another wee Fergie link, because Fergie's brother Martin, he played for him in the Scottish Cup final as well. It wasn't a week past on Saturday, but it was some time ago, and he was along the day that they opened the new facility, so there was that link with the past.
Fantastic. If you go to the, have you been to the new stadium? When you go into their clubhouse, they've got some fantastic glass cabinets with old programmes, memorabilia, scarves, newspaper clippings. Fantastic. Fantastic to go along and see. The guys down there have done a fantastic job. Knightswood or Lunkerty against Dice. Knightswood again, been doing very well the last couple of seasons. I don't know if you played them.
No, we've not played them, but I knew Dan Miller was there. In fact, he's moved on now. But
Eastern Rocks now.
That's right. So kind of kept an eye on the results, and they've also been quite comfortable. I think last year get promoted, didn't they? I'm not sure if they won the league eventually, but
they did.
Good side.
They're playing Rob Roy's ground actually this season.
That's it.
Yeah, so that could be another
one of my favourite grounds as well, Lunkerty. If you've never been there,
not been.
Terrific old ground, you know, it's in a wee bowl, and it's almost like a garden. It's just beautiful if you get it in the right day. I watched them playing Loch Ness. That was in the Scottish Cup, the other Scottish Cup, the early rounds of the other Scottish Cup, Lunkerty versus Loch Ness. There you go.
It's like this, Auchinleck Talbot, the multiple winners, home to Baylor Clyde. John Hughes was with us and made the draw for the last round, and he saw his face fall unfortunately when he drew Auchinleck Talbot away. That doesn't come much
the weekend, didn't they? They beat Kilburney quite comprehensive, 4-0 or something. They finished, didn't they? We've got a couple of young boys in loan at Baylor Clyde who've got a bit about them, so that as much as obviously Auchinleck would be massive favourites, it'll be a tough tie.
They're a very good side. John's got them very well drilled. The last 2 or 3 seasons they've climbed and climbed and climbed. We've got a couple of players again that left us and went to there and keep an eye out, and they do very, very well.
We drew 2 each from a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, good side. Very good team. So it doesn't come much tougher than Auchinleck Talbot away.
No.
But
listen, you want to play
everybody. But that's it. Plus, going and playing in that stadium, the pitch is brilliant.
Absolutely.
It's a great place to play. So the boys will be looking forward to that. And it's a test, isn't it? You like playing against the best teams. So.
Absolutely. Glenafton, one of your former clubs, Craig, home to Finn Arthur Armadale Thistle in the next round. Again, Glenafton will fancy themselves with a home tie.
Absolutely. We've got Glenafton on Saturday there, and we've just played them as well. So and they've got really strong attacking options. So Boy Marley, Erskine, and Shug Kersey have got 3 really strong attackers. So that'll be a tough game, but I think Glenafton should be looking to get through. It's a home tie, should be looking to get through.
Armadale Thistle will have something to say about that. Obviously, you saw them against Largs. Absolutely.
But Glenafton's history in it is in the cup as well. Big Ruffy was the manager there in the
90s.
I interviewed Tom Hunter. It was his dad that was the. He was the shopkeeper in the town. And Tom Hunter, the billionaire. Ruffy said to Ruffy, I would like to win the Scottish Cup for my dad. So Ruffy got a couple of quid. And I think he went to three finals, but lost 2, and they won the one anyway. They did win it. So, and Ruffy talks about it. Ruffy will tell you he went to 3 World Cups. In fact, he'll not tell you much else, but he'll tell you when he World Cups. But he says that was one of the great moments his football career. Winning the juniors.
I think it was Ibrox that year, the final. I think from memory. Lesbeth Hago against Largs. Largs obviously was on the semi-final last year, so but Lesbeth Hago have been doing alright last season as well, so they'll fancy themselves. But
another great ground as well.
Another, you were talking about sunken ground. That's exactly what I was thinking about a minute ago. Was Lesbeth Hago? It's a fantastic ground. Saw a picture on social media not that long ago. But I think they said there was about 60,000 people in there or something. Ridiculous. All you see was a sea of heads. Don't get that these days anymore, unfortunately. Lesbeth Hago were disappointed to say. Lanark United at home to Buckinhaven Hearts. Lanark again have been good in the last couple of seasons. They've progressed in the last couple of divisions. Buckinhaven Hearts are an unknown quantity for me, but joy of the cup. Blantyre Vicks at home to Thornwood United. Again, a relatively local match.
I don't think you get much more local than that. In fairness, kick a ball on a railway line. That'll be a good game. Thornwood are doing well.
Adam's got them flying at the moment.
Quite like him as a young manager.
Hearing
a lot of good stuff about him.
And played on at Stenishmere about 20 years ago. I came in and loan for Motherwell. He's doing really well, and they've got some great players in there. So loads of experience. We've played them a few times over the last couple of seasons, and some of it, like the boy Forbes, is excellent. They've got a couple of big sides there as well, who's just class. So they've got some good players.
I did wonder, Bobby Barr's obviously been a good player in the last couple of seasons. I wondered when he left in the summer what impact that would have. They've kept going. They've been very, very good.
So we go the circle as well that we started off with Lisbon Lions playing juniors, and Billy Neal, of course, was a Blantyre.
Yes.
The circle turns.
Absolutely. Penultimate game, Carnoustie Panmure against Troon. Obviously, we're hoping that's an away win.
That's a Carnoustie one.
Absolute certainty.
Well, as I say, we played there a few years ago and we won the game. I certainly wouldn't say comfortably, but we won the game. I think it was 2-0, might be 3-0. But Carnoustie will certainly fancy themselves this time. They want to get a bit of revenge.
I don't know. Listen,
and
just because you're here, I think Troon are doing really well this season. You know, he's up there, he's pushing for it, and I think a couple of blips, but I'm very impressed with the team this year. So
Jimmy's got the team flying, and Andy and Marty beside him, with Johnny, they've been doing really, really well with the team the last couple of years, to be fair, and it's the improvement game on game almost has been fantastic. We've been beaten twice by Auchinleck Talbot this season, it's the best Auchinleck Talbot side I've seen for a number of years. Outside of that, we've been excellent. So yeah, it's the big one for me. It's the one I would like to win, but I'm not going on the pitch, so I'll leave it up to the boys. But yeah, that'll be an interesting tie, but one we're looking forward to anyway. In the last game, our Broth Victoria against Pollock, obviously another one of your old clubs, Craig.
It is, aye. Pollock's again a great club, huge fan base and huge history, and for them it's Arbroath they're playing, so it's obviously a tough tie going away up there in an away game, and Pollock obviously had a bit of a tough time with some of the kind of financial stuff behind the scenes, but we've still got a great start 11. You know, look at the team, we just signed Stuart McCann, who'd been at us previously, who's as good as you'll get at it.
Stuart's excellent. He's been out with them for a few years, obviously.
Absolutely, so they'll be looking to get through and go on a wee bit of a run, and I don't think there'll be many teams that would fancy playing them. We'll still get some really good players in there.
One of the great games as well, you know, especially in Glasgow, juniors, you know, the very strong support. In the Glasgow Herald, all the Keystone boys, when they had the Keystone, and they go off a Saturday, they would go to
the fan base they've still got
is
phenomenal.
It's funny, you were talking earlier about the SFA guy, so my brain's gone. What's his name? He was the Secretary of Rangers as well. Campbell Olgo. I was doing my on the road at Paul, and the first guy I met was a guy called Ken Nicholson, who's Michael Nicholson, the Celtic chief executive dad. So I was talking about Ken, and just the next moment, Camel comes up. He said, "Oh, come here regularly." I said, "That's me just in the door with my Celtic angle, my Rangers angle." And Camel says, "No, the real story is that wee woman over there." There's this woman in her 80s selling raffle tickets. And I says, "How's she's the story?" She says, "She's Bobby Gillespie's mum out of Primal Stream."
Yes.
So she's telling me stories about Bobby Gillespie coming up to the games of Primal Stream. And if there's any more Scottish juniors than that, I don't know. She's out in the cold selling her raffle tickets, magnificent.
Oh, fantastic, love that. So yeah, we obviously asked you earlier on, Craig, who you thought was in for, you thought would be amongst the favourites. Hugh, you've obviously seen a few games in the last couple of seasons.
I've watched some really good sides. Funnily enough, this season I haven't seen Auchinleck. I've not been down here, but everybody I've talked to, they've seen that they're absolutely top notch this year. So even in a mediocre Auchinleck year, you're thinking about them going pretty near yourself. If people talking about being almost a vintage side, you would say them. But Johnstone Burgh, I mean, they're really strong. They've kicked on from the summer as well. You would like to narrow it down to two teams, but if it was, that would be the two I'd narrow it down to. And then you throw in, there's always going to be in Yoker a few years ago, nobody would have thought they would go to a final.
They got to the final against Auchinleck Talbot, didn't they?
There's always a team.
Every year there's a
team that nobody. And there's a lot of teams, let's be frank about it here, there's a lot of teams in there I know absolutely nothing about. It's all right, you know, when you're talking about the West of Scotland teams, I'll know them. But a lot of the teams that, you know, what their quality is, well, we know their quality is good enough in the third round, the fourth round of the cup, so they must be decent. So there may be an outlier.
One or two more stories still to tell then. Yeah. Alex, you've got a bit more knowledge of some of the teams having watched them or played.
There's a lot of good teams here. You know, there's a lot of teams that, as you say, are unknowns. I know a wee bit about them. I can't profess to know a lot about them, but you know, I've got to know them over the last 5 years. you know, look, he's still there. You know, that, for me that's a big one. Dundee North End's good as well. You head further up, I'm not quite as knowledgeable. We played Hermes a couple of times and whatnot, but I don't see them there. But listen, I don't care who's in the final. You know, I really don't care who's in the final. It's what this cup is all about. You know, the community side of it again, and everything happens after it. And then if the next team goes and does what they done, or if they go and do what they done again, you know, that for me, I've won then. You know, it's me that's won at that point. I just FIP as one. You know, that's what it is.
What about Troon then, Rich? Are you going for Troon?
Listen, I have to. I would get heckled badly when I went home if I didn't. Listen, I would love to get to. You have this conversation with supporters at the start of the season. What do you want to win? What do you do this season? What's your target for this season? You mentioned earlier on, some people would say win the league. I want to win the Scottish Cup.
See, this season's a bit different, especially in the West.
Yeah.
Because there's 8 teams, you know, are going to go up next year, so
you still want to win it.
You still want to win it.
You still want to win it, but yes.
But you still want to win it, but you know that you're going to be promoted if you're half decent at all. But it's they're the cup, and that's a holy grail. That's it. That's what it is.
That's the phrase I always use now. Getting Mick taken out before it, but it is the holy grail. And it is at our level of football, it is a holy grail. You speak to some people who say, well, some of these teams that we're talking about here are now in the Senior Scottish Cup, surely that's bigger. Yes, it's a bigger competition. They're not going to win it. So you can win this cup. The days out you're talking about it, the finals, the semi-finals we've been, those are days that you won't
Go
match.
any club in Scotland has won it. There'll be somebody sitting saying, the best day of my life was that day I went and watched my team win it. And you go up on the wall, there'll be pictures up on the wall from those days past, and there'll be guys going, that's my great granddad, that's my uncle, that's me.
Mine was Glencairn.
There you go.
Yeah, local club.
My granda played for him, my dad was on the committee, my brother played, he was top striker with him. And you know, I know they'd won the Scottish Cup, and I used to go to, what was the name of it? Southcroft. Used to go to Southcroft and stand in the bing, turns out it was all cancerous and everything now right enough, but lifted over. The money I made when I was a kid there, on my dad's pal, I loved.
Well, that's
the memories.
That's the memories. I go back. I've been, I'm lucky in life with football. I've watched games in the San Siro. I've watched games in Qatar. I've watched games in South America. I've been at a Super Classico, etc., etc. But I always remember the day going down to Darvel with my granda. And it still brings a wee tickle to the throat when you think about it. And that's the Scottish Junior Cup.
That's what we're all about. It's a lovely place to leave it there. Thank you very much for your time, Hugh, Craig, Alex. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thank you.